So UFC 299 is coming up this weekend, and it's going to be one of the best cards of the year, and of course one of those fights that is going to be making it such a great card is the co-main event between Dustin Poirier taking on Benoit Saint-Denis, and this is a fight that a lot of people are talking about, and a lot of people have very mixed opinions on it, of course, because Dustin Poirier is a very popular fighter, and Benoit Saint-Denis has a very dedicated, very dedicated fan base is kind of what I will say. So a lot of fans are divided. A lot of people are wanting to pick the veteran in Dustin Poirier, who also happens to be the underdog. And then a lot of people are also kind of siding with the dominance that Benoit Saint-Denis has managed to display at the end of 2023. And as the up-and-coming fighter here, taking a pretty massive opportunity, which Dustin Poirier just doesn't really grant often. Because the thing that a lot of people have been critical about Dustin Poirier about in the past, including myself, is that he just doesn't fight the up-and-comers. It's like when Justin Gaethje fought Rafael Fiziev. That was Justin Gaethje kind of getting out of that cycle of just fighting Oliveira, Poirier, and Chandler, and giving someone else an opportunity to make it into the top 5. And now this is Dustin Poirier doing that for Benoit Saint-Denis, who has definitely earned such a big spot. Because if you look at the end of 2023, this guy went on an incredible run in 1 year as well. You know, he took quite a bit of time off between Miranda and the Bonfim fight, and that was likely just a fight. Maybe he had injuries, maybe just fights fell through, and then he really made the second half of 2023 count, where he beat Ismail Bonfim in the first round, looked really good in that fight, made Bonfim look pretty bad, to be honest, and then he beat Thiago Moises, which in my opinion, out of those three, is actually his best win stylistically, and then he knocks out Matt Frivola in 90 seconds with a head kick. So, man, we've kind of seen that Benoit Saint-Denis can do it all. He knocks out Frivola on the feet with a pretty cool head kick as Frivola's walking away, kind of, sort of. And then Thiago Moises and Bonfim showed off some incredible grappling, and especially against Thiago Moises, who is known to be an incredible wrestler and grappler. Bonfim definitely more of a boxer. Frivola, a very good wrestler with a lot of power in his hands. He defeated those three guys in quick succession, 2 months after the other. And the UFC has rewarded those efforts with an opportunity to take on Dustin Poirier and really put himself up there in the rankings. But the problem that I kind of have with this matchup, to be honest, is it's 5 rounds. And I don't see Benoit Saint-Denis going out there and finishing Dustin Poirier super quickly. And Benoit Saint-Denis, we have never really seen him go the distance too much, aside from the one time where he made a short notice UFC debut, upper weight class, against the always game Elizeu Zaleski. And although that fight was, to be honest, a pretty hard watch, as Benoit Saint-Denis did take a lot of damage in that fight, he still showed a lot of toughness, and Elizeu Zaleski is a very tough fighter on any sort of night. He's a very good striker at 170, and Benoit Saint-Denis just wasn't able to get it going on short notice. But since then, he's gone on a dominant run, but it's been so dominant that we've never really seen Benoit Saint-Denis out of the second round in the UFC. He has, of course, been to the third round once, but aside from that, he's just finishing everybody, and we just don't know what it looks like for Benoit when the fight does get extended. Now, I'm sure Benoit Saint-Denis is in fantastic shape. I'm sure Benoit Saint-Denis is planning for a 5-round fight. I'm sure he's been training 5 rounds. I'm sure he's been training 6, 7, or 8 rounds to really be able to get ready for this matchup against Dustin Poirier. As Poirier, although he did get knocked out in his last fight, and he did get finished by Charles Oliveira, he's a hard guy to finish, man. He's a really tough guy. He's a veteran. He's been through some wars in the past as well. He's been against up-and-coming guys, like when Dan Hooker was an up-and-coming fighter in 2020, and Dan Hooker really put it on him and Dustin Poirier in the first and the second round, especially the second round. Dan Hooker almost finished him in that round. Poirier was able to rally back and dominated rounds 3, 4, and 5. And then, of course, he beats Conor McGregor twice. We've seen Poirier go up against tough guys before. We've seen him have to go through storms, which I think Benoit Saint-Denis is going to put him through. I think in this matchup, Benoit Saint-Denis is going to come out aggressive in round 1 and 2, and Poirier is going to have to weather a storm. Poirier is going to have to deal with wrestling and grappling. He is going to have to deal being pressured on the feet. Benoit Saint-Denis is going to be throwing leg kicks. He's going to be throwing body kicks. He's going to be putting Poirier in very uncomfortable positions. But I think Poirier is going to be able to withstand that kind of onslaught at the start and be able to rally back and take on Benoit Saint-Denis and win the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds and be able to get a decision kind of similar to the Dan Hooker fight, but with a lot more grappling involved, especially early on, as I do believe Benoit Saint-Denis is going to initiate some grappling. Benoit Saint-Denis, of course, he's a very well-rounded fighter. We've seen that in the UFC. We've seen Benoit Saint-Denis have good striking. We've seen him have excellent grappling. But now it's time for a big step up in competition. Dustin Poirier is a big step up in competition from Frivola, Moises, and Bonfim. And I know that they're really, really good fighters, as I did credit him with some fantastic wins at the start of the video. I think we're going to see Poirier be able to withstand that and start to kind of make something happen. Poirier is a very, very good boxer. Of course, he did get caught with a head kick by Gaethje, but when does Gaethje throw head kicks? Not really that often, to be fair. But anyway, the point is, Poirier, he's going to be able to have very good boxing against Benoit Saint-Denis. He's going to have good cardio. We've seen Poirier go hard rounds in the past. He went a hard 3 rounds before he finished Michael Chandler in that matchup there. Charles Oliveira kind of was able to out-grapple him in the second and the third round, of course. And then before that, he was able to KO McGregor. But we have seen in the past Poirier put on a pretty good pace for 5 rounds. We know he's got good wrestling. We know he has decent takedown defense as well. And if he needs to, he can initiate wrestling and grappling. But I don't really see him doing that here against Benoit Saint-Denis, unless he's in a situation where, let's say it's the second or the third round, it's taken place on the feet, but it's anyone's round. And maybe then in the last minute or the last 90 seconds, Dustin Poirier will go out there and put on some wrestling. But I do believe that Poirier is going to be able to get it done here. Another thing that is worth noting, which might not mean anything, but it might mean a lot of things to some people, Poirier has not beaten anyone that's been taller than him in the last few years. You know, Conor McGregor's 5'9" as well. Oliveira, I believe, is 5'11" for 155. Gaethje's 5'11" for 155. And Chandler is 5'8". So he's not beaten anyone taller than him, but I guess maybe the height just doesn't really matter because Oliveira is one of the greatest lightweights of all time, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's kind of, he's defended his belt a few times, and Gaethje, of course, is a very powerful striker and a former interim champion who gave Oliveira some problems in his fight, and then also kind of didn't really, though, give Khabib any problems in their fight. But anyway, you guys understand what I mean. I think that Poirier, man, he's 35, though. I think that Poirier is going to be able to beat Benoit here. I think it is going to be a lot very early on, but if Benoit Saint-Denis wins this fight, the UFC has a French star, which they kind of need, because they fumbled signing Cedric Doumbé. They fumbled signing Bysingwa Chomsadinov, who are both headlining a PFL event this weekend as well. The UFC needs a French star. Benoit Saint-Denis already kind of is that for them. Cyril Gane already kind of is that for them as well. But I think that Benoit Saint-Denis, if he was able to get past Poirier, would just become a massive name in France. But I do believe that the veteran is going to be able to prevail here, so I'm going to be picking Dustin Poirier. I'm going to be picking Dustin Poirier by decision. A lot of people are going to be split on this one. We've just seen Benoit Saint-Denis absolutely dominate everyone he's been put up against recently, whereas Poirier, he is a little bit on the decline. He's lost 2 fights, but 2 fights to the elite of the weight class. I'd be surprised if he was able to lose this one here. I am going to be picking Dustin Poirier in this matchup. Give me Dustin Poirier to win by decision. He is the underdog, so maybe Poirier could be a pretty good underdog for you. I think Poirier will be a pretty popular underdog for people to be betting on. Benoit at nearly minus 200 is getting pretty wide for me. But yeah, I like Poirier. I'm picking Poirier in the matchup. In fact, I don't really like Poirier that much. I'm actually not a Poirier fan, if you guys can believe it. But anyway, the point is, I'm picking Poirier anyway. I'll see you guys in the next one.